Hi, I'm Steve Sample with Bama Talk. Don't miss a single episode of Bama Talk Show, available now on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.
This is your Weather Xtreme video for Sunday, August the 18th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in, and what an unusual August we've been seeing. Very quickly, let's look at the rainfall radar estimates for the radar out of northwest Florida. The radar showing that we did have a rather large band of rainfall on the order of 4 to 6 inches. All of the red color that you see in that image. Certainly a good deal of wet weather for the beach for yesterday, and that wet weather continuing. Unfortunately for us, as we look at the radar for this morning, first we can see that the rain has pulled a little bit further to the north as the front has more or less kind of meandered just a little bit, and it's a broad frontal boundary. And so add to the cool weather, now we have wet weather. There's a look at the Skycam imagery this morning. There's a look at a wet Inverness Skycam as we look at a wet 280 this morning before sunrise. And there's another look at Jasper, where they've had a little bit of rain up there too, just a little bit less up at Jasper, but certainly a wet morning for most of us. The surface map this morning shows that stationary front along the Gulf Coast with a broad area of rain, and certainly not going to be changing much today, as we're going to have a cool and wet day. The forecast has changed just a little bit. The upper air pattern showing the closed low. We did expect that closed low to more or less pull out, but now the GFS is suggesting it's going to stick around, perhaps not completely as a closed low, but certainly as a weakness, and that's going to keep things rather unsettled for much of the upcoming week as we stay relatively cool. Temperatures have been a real challenge with this wedge-like pattern and the easterly flow. Anniston only got to 69 yesterday, while Tuscaloosa got to 79. Yeah, certainly we see that in a wedge pattern with a west to east gradient from warm in the west to cooler in the east. But certainly it's tough to forecast 69 degrees for a high in the middle of August in central Alabama. The overall radar showing this broad band of rain, and the rain continuing across, especially across the northwest Florida and southwest Alabama areas. And flash flood watches still in effect for parts of Georgia and across the southwest Alabama and parts of northwest Florida. QPF indicating that over the next 4 to 5 days that we're going to still see another 4 inches possible, especially down across the Pensacola to Panama City area. Along the Gulf Coast. Storm Prediction Center outlooking a slight risk for severe across parts of North Dakota and a little bit of north central South Dakota, extending over into parts of Minnesota as well. But across the southwest, we are watching kind of the possibility of a little extra destabilization of the atmosphere down across the central Gulf Coast. I think primarily because of the deep moisture, we're going to stay with a heavy rain event. And then day 2, there is no organized severe storms forecast. Tropics continue to be somewhat active. The area in the southwest Gulf has now become kind of a non-issue as it continues to move kind of west-northwestward and is expected to go into northeast Mexico and not develop much of anything. Aaron has now been downgraded to a tropical depression, and we now are watching another wave off of the African continent. So looks like we're getting into the climatologically active period for the hurricane season. All right, here's a look at the GFS modeling, and this is for Monday. We did expect to see the trough off to more pull off to the northeast, and it's weakening. That's what the GFS is suggesting, but that keeps us basically in a wet pattern with the showers. I think by Monday and Tuesday we become a little bit more, a little less wedgy and a little more into the summertime kind of showery pattern driven by the heat of the day, but we've got to get past today, and that's going to be another cool one with some spots not getting out of the 60s. For Tuesday, you can see that weakness just sticks around, and that's basically the story that we see. There's Wednesday, that weakness still sticking around, which keeps us on the wet side of things, and then even into Thursday, the weakness is still there, moving just a little bit, and actually by Thursday, we may see temperatures climb into the mid-80s as we get out of a little bit of the deeper tropical moisture as it slides just a little further to the east, but certainly with the moisture we have in the ground, that's going to keep temperatures down. And on Friday, the weakness is still there, and a week from yesterday, Saturday, the weakness is still there, so we're still remaining somewhat unsettled, but we're getting at least a little bit on the drier side. Maybe this would be more just into a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. And models just barely go out into Sunday, but you can see that weakness is still there, but the ridge becoming a little more of a dominant pattern, which was significant yesterday, and that still keeps us pretty much, as it does much of the southeastern U.S., into a bit of a showery kind of pattern and somewhat unsettled. Well, the model guidance graphics did not go all the way out this morning. I guess the computer's running a little slower. But week 2 is probably not going to be terribly different. And certainly with the forecast we've seen this August, who knows? That'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video. James Spann should have the next edition in first thing on Monday morning. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for updates as the weather continues to be monitored. Have a great day and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.